On July 16, 1945, in the desert of New Mexico, a light brighter than the sun lit up the sky at 5:29 a.m. J. Robert Oppenheimer, who led the team that built it, later quoted the Bhagavad Gita, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." The Manhattan Project. 3 years, 130,000 people, $2 billion, the equivalent of $30 billion today. The most concentrated scientific effort in human history. And it worked. 3 weeks later, Hiroshima. 3 days after that, Nagasaki. Japan surrendered. World War II ended, and the world has lived in the shadow of that weapon ever since. Here's the alternate timeline. It's 1939. Albert Einstein and Leo Szilard send their famous letter to President Roosevelt, warning that nuclear fission could be weaponized. In our timeline, this letter launched the Manhattan Project. In the alternate timeline, Roosevelt reads it, consults with advisors, and makes a different call. The U.S. invests in conventional weapons instead. The science is too theoretical, too uncertain, too expensive. Germany's own nuclear program, which we now know was poorly organized and years behind, also fails to produce a weapon. No bomb, neither side. World War II in this timeline ends differently. Without the atomic bomb, Japan does not surrender in August 1945. Military planners at the time estimated a land invasion of Japan, Operation Downfall, would cost between 250,000 and 1 million American casualties, and Japanese casualties in the millions. The invasion happens. It is brutal beyond description. Japan is occupied through 1947. The human cost is staggering, but so is the outcome. Japan, occupied and rebuilt, still becomes the economic powerhouse it did in our timeline. But here's the critical divergence. The post-war world has no nuclear deterrence. The theory of mutually assured destruction, the idea that both the US and USSR would never attack each other because both sides would be destroyed, only works because both sides had nuclear weapons. Without them, there is no MAD doctrine. There is no automatic deterrence. This means the Cold War has a very different character. It may go hot. Conventional wars between superpower proxies, or even between the superpowers themselves, become thinkable in a way they weren't in our nuclear world. The Korean War, which happened in our timeline, may escalate to direct US-Soviet conflict in this one. Without the nuclear threshold that both sides were terrified to cross, conventional war between major powers remains a live option through the 1950s and 1960s. Some historians call nuclear weapons the great stabilizer. Paradoxically, the most destructive weapons ever built may have prevented more deaths than they caused, simply by making great power war unthinkable. Here's the other side of the equation. Nuclear power. The same physics that builds a bomb also runs a reactor. In our timeline, nuclear power generates 10% of the world's electricity. France gets 70% of its power from nuclear energy. Without the Manhattan Project's forced acceleration of nuclear physics, the development of civilian nuclear power is delayed by decades. Climate change in this timeline is worse. Coal and oil burn longer, harder, with no nuclear alternative. The world without the bomb is a world that may have had more wars, but also a world that may have been more honest about conflict. In our world, great powers fight through proxies, through sanctions, through information warfare, because the alternative is too terrible to contemplate. In a world without that terrible alternative, the calculation changes. The bomb didn't just end World War II, it rewrote the rules of human conflict forever. What if then would subscribe? Because the weapons we build always outlast the wars we built them for.